Franchising is the most misunderstood and most overlooked form of entrepreneurship. We're here to educate you and help you find the entrepreneur within. Franchising is not all about the French fries.
We find that individuals who are exploring business ownership tend to have a lot of misperceptions and misunderstandings about the franchise industry. So what we want to do is help prospective business owners make confident and educated decisions before moving forward or not moving forward with a business. Welcome to Unpredicted Entrepreneur.
Hi, welcome to episode 62 of Unpredicted Entrepreneur. I'm Roxanne Rapsky, and this is my colleague, Sarah Wasco. We created this podcast to bring you education and information about business ownership and all things franchising. We're seeing a lot more awareness of health and wellness concepts these days. So we have a little nutritional treat for you today. We have Dr. Jason Fechter and Dr. Tara Zeller. They are co-founders of IV Nutrition. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
So we talked a little bit in prep for this podcast and really wanted to hear from both of you your backgrounds. You know, what led to the creation of IV Nutrition and becoming entrepreneurs? I know one of you had an entrepreneurial background, the other one didn't, but you both had a passion for wellness. So why don't we kind of start there?
Yeah, a great question. So Tara and I have actually known each other for a really long time, coming up on 2 decades, I think. We were actually college roommates together and working on our doctorate degree. And through that program, we got to know each other really well. I've owned several companies prior to IV Nutrition, and most recent company that I owned was a health-based company. It was a food-based company. And we had a lot of clients that were coming to us with celiac, Crohn's, diabetes, pre-diabetic, cancer, who were trying to shift the pendulum and get a little bit healthier. And sometimes eating a salad today just isn't enough to do that. And at the same time, you know, we had already graduated from college. Tara had moved back to Colorado. She called me, and we hadn't seen each other for a couple of years. And she was coming to St. Louis for a CEU seminar on IV nutrition, and thought, if anything, I would join her. We would catch up, have dinner, have drinks. And when we got to the seminar, I saw Tara, and I hadn't seen her in a couple of years, but she had these really black, awful sores on her lips and her décolleté. And I thought, oh my gosh, you know, what's going on? And come to find out, she had gotten toxic mold poisoning that manifested into lupus, and she was on her own health journey. And so we're sitting in this seminar, and they started talking about IV nutrition, and I thought, oh my gosh, you know, this is it. This is what my clients need, who are trying to get healthy but can't because food just isn't shifting that pendulum for them. And at the same time, Tara was on her own health journey, and so we just kind of looked at each other and we said, this is it. This is the business. This is what we're going to create. And because I had other business background, I knew that I wanted to do this under a franchise concept. And so Tara and I worked really well together. I'm kind of all things prior to a store opening. Tara's all things after a store opening. And so we just built out our first place. And Tara came in, she saw it the first day before we were supposed to open, and she started crying. And I thought, oh my gosh, you know, I hope these are happy tears because we have a 5-year lease and, you know, we're not getting mad at this. And she said, oh my gosh, this is so much more than I ever thought it was going to be. And that was 6 years ago. And it's just been kind of a fun ride. And like I said, I'm kind of all things business, and Tara's all things health and all things after a store's open. And I think her story is really empowering. Tara?
Yeah, as Jason said, you know, I got into IV nutrient therapy because I needed to heal, and also passion and purpose. So Jason brings that business perspective, which I love, you know, making money and having passion and purpose while you do it is just fantastic. So, you know, I started because I've always been interested in natural medicine and natural health, and I didn't have a lot of success with the traditional medical model growing up. And so I've always really struggled with health issues and have gravitated towards more natural therapies because those tended to work for me. So by the time that I was learning about IV nutrient therapy, I was really in crisis with my health issues. And I was also in private practice. So I was looking for something that could support my clients with more chronic issues, with more significant, serious issues that would actually work. That wasn't just putting a Band-Aid on it or suppressing a symptom, but actually helped people heal from the inside out. So that's when Jason and I kind of reconnected. I was in it to heal. I was in it to help other people. And Jason brought in that business perspective. And I'm so grateful for it, because I went from, helping just a small group of people in my community to now we franchise this. And not only is it a successful business model that helps our owners and helps us, but it helps so many people transform their health, whether they have chronic illness like I did, or they want to prevent it. So we really help people anywhere that they are on the health spectrum to just stay healthy, and not even get to that point where I was in extreme distress and crisis.
I love hearing how that all came together like that. And I'm curious, Dr. Jason, you mentioned, and Tara may have alluded to it, but I'd love for you to expand it a little bit more. You said, when you said, this is it, this is the business we're going to start, and I know it's going to be a franchise. Tell us more. What was it that in your head led you to say, I know this is going to be a franchise?
Yeah, owning other businesses, I absolutely love the franchise model. I think it's the number one way to shift the pendulum, to really take your brand and blow it up, because we're working with business owners, we're working with people who care, and they're not just going to wake up tomorrow and quit their job. And this brand, this idea of bringing health and wellness to as many people as we possibly could was really vital. It was really important. At the time that we were starting to create this concept, there really wasn't an option, right? We were one of the first players out there in the IV world. And if you wanted to have a functional consultation, you were spending $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 if you could even get in with a functional healthcare provider. And it just wasn't sustainable for the average person. So the best way to bring it to the most amount of people was to do it in that franchise model.
Well, and you made a comment when we were speaking to prep. You said people are vested, not just employees. And you kind of just said that, but in a different way. But I liked that wording. It's they've got skin in the game in this business. So it's a quicker way to certainly go national than coming up with and raising money to do it yourself.
That's right. I mean, they have that vested interest, which is really important. And I think what's really cool is we're changing lives, right? We started this business, and I don't think we thought that it was going to go as amazing as it did, right? We have clients who are coming in, again, with celiac, Crohn's, cancer, diabetes, with different health issues. And it's easy for us as business owners to say, oh my gosh, I'm waking up, I'm going to go to work, and I'm going to do what I'm doing every day. But then when those clients come back in and they start crying because you're changing their lives, like you're really, truly doing something to give that quality of life that they've been missing or haven't never thought that they would get back. Right. It makes that emotional connection. That's really powerful. And then, like you said, I mean, our franchisees have a vested interest in success, and our brand is doing really, really well. Our numbers are incredible. And by default, they're also doing some really incredible things in the community. And it's really powerful.
So there are, we see the little mom and pop IV therapies. I didn't share this on the phone with you, but I've actually done a lot of IV therapy, and I still do it. And I'm a big believer. And I was one of those patients in tears. So I've got my own story. But anyway, but tell us how you're different, because, I think when IVs first came on the scene, it wasn't so much for nutrition, right? So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, great question. So most people would think IV nutrition, they automatically think, hangover, I'm dehydrated, I had too much fun the night before, which is what most people assume that's exactly what we do, and that's all we do. And then the other extreme is, really sick individuals, and they're there for drugs and hormones, and it's a completely different world. And for us, we're really kind of in the middle. We take a functional approach, right? We're one of the few brands that you can come in as a client, we can take your blood, send it out to a lab, and create a custom IV bag specific to you for exactly what you're deficient in. And that's been huge, right? Once we take that functional approach, there is no guessing, there is no emotion in that part of it. It's all scientific, it's all data driven. And then we're able to really shift that pendulum. So it's not just the hydration, the what we call the silly gooses who might have drank a little bit too much the night before. We can certainly help them, but not our primary.
Yeah, we certainly have something for that,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Dr. Tara. What did you say?
We certainly have something for that hangover cure. But we are rooted in decades of experience of functional medicine and natural medicine knowledge, and we have made it less complicated. The beauty of IV nutrient therapy is it supports the body's to heal and regenerate itself, right? So it doesn't have to cost tens of thousands of dollars. It doesn't have to be really complicated for everyone. And that's what we've done. We've elevated it from just hydration and a hangover cure, which, you could take a weekend course in that and start doing that and start opening up. Like, we are really rooted in experience and knowledge of these tough chronic cases and what you do in these situations. But we know that not everybody is that. And so we can apply it to the everyday person who doesn't have a chronic disease as well, who's just feeling run down, tired, like something's wrong. And their doctor's just telling them, you're fine. Like, your labs are fine. Everything's fine. You're normal. But people can feel like, this isn't normal. I don't feel amazing. I feel like I should have more energy. I feel like I should, have more motivation to play with my kids, less pain. And that's what we've really done, is we've made functional medicine and IV nutrient therapy accessible and affordable to the everyday person.
I love that, because I know you had shared with us, you're not just treating a symptom, you're trying to get to the root of the cause and potentially, nip something in the bud well before it becomes an issue or a problem. So
that's exactly right. That's a good analogy, like nipping it in the bud, because by the time illness manifests, it's been going on for some time. Whereas most times people think like, I'm fine, everything's normal until you're not fine. So, usually prevention is not quantifiable. It's like, eat a salad, keep your stress levels down, exercise, drink water. Otherwise, just wait and hope that you're not going to manifest illness. But there's actually a way to quantify that, and we can do that. So we can sort of pick up on these things before it manifests. And that's the goal. Like, let's never get you to that point where you've manifested something. Nip it in the bud, as you say.
That's awesome. And so, I love the dynamic between the two of you and how you shared. Dr. Jason's expertise is the business side, and Dr. Tara's expertise is the medical or the wellness side. And sometimes partnerships don't necessarily work out. I know I love the success that you guys are having. So could you elaborate a little bit more on each of your roles and kind of how you're able to work together for the benefit of your franchisees and your clients and just the business as a whole?
Yeah, we really look at it as lanes, right? I have my lane and Tara has her lane, and we really kind of stay in our own lanes, which makes it work really, really well. I think the benefit that we were roommates and we've known each other for 2 decades, right? There's that trust there, that I trust that her lane is going to be covered. I don't have to worry about it. And she trusts that my lane is covered. She doesn't have to worry about it. And so, like I had mentioned, I'm really kind of all things prior to a store opening. So I handle all the franchise agreements, the franchise documents, the new franchisees. And Tara handles all of the clients once they come on board and they're looking for that functional consultation and that healthcare approach. And so it's lanes. We really look at it at lanes, and it works out really well for us.
So can you drill down a little bit more into that? Because one of the big scary things for folks when we're talking to them is the real estate piece. So you're very hands-on with that, and then also knowing the cost of things that need to go into their location. So can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think it's really important when a franchisee is coming on and they're looking to establish their first location, it can be really scary, right? Sometimes this is the first time that they've owned a business, and there's a lot of moving pieces. And for us at IV Nutrition, we really took a different approach with it, and we incorporate what we call project managers. And so when a franchisee comes on board, they're assigned to a project manager, and that project manager is going to hold their hand throughout that entire process. Do we have our exterior signs ordered? Is the lease signed? Did we negotiate it well? Has the architect been hired? Are the rooms in the proper places? And then more importantly, are we working with contractors who are going to give us a good quote, a good rate? And so our project managers really work with these franchisees to get them open as fast as we possibly can. Even like you had mentioned, finding that location. Occasionally, I'll even still fly out. I at the very beginning, I flew out to every single location and would put my eyes on it and count the cars and walk through the neighborhood with the franchisees. Now we have a great partner, Morrow Hill, who really helps with that. But our approach is still the same. It's very hands-on. Our goal is to get our franchisees opened as fast as we possibly can, because if you're not open, you're not making money. And if you're not making money, that's a really scary, sad place to be. And so we really work quite well with our franchisees.
I mean, knowing that you are that involved and have that so buttoned up is such an advantage, because a lot of, to your point, if you're not open, you're not making money. And especially if someone is not employed at the time, sometimes they can't consider a brick and mortar franchise, or they have to go get a short-term job, because if it's going to take a year or more to get open, they may not be able to wait that long to start earning an income. So it's really nice to know that that piece of it is handled for them. I remember learning that when we first learned about your brand and how precise and, really the systems that you have in place to help people. So that's, I'm glad Roxanne asked so that we could share a little bit more of that. And then, I believe too that there's probably some fear and anxiety for people that may not have a medical background, opening up an IV nutrition franchise. So Dr. Tara, can you elaborate a little bit more on, Dr. Jason has done his part and the real estate, and now we're open. Tell us where you step in and how you help from that point forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a lot of partnerships because we're a larger organization. We kind of have that covered as well, right? So we have several franchisees that don't come from a medical background, but they have a lot of passion and interest in what we're doing. And fortunately, there is a medical component to this, but there's also a health and wellness component as well. So we have franchisees and owners from all kinds of different backgrounds. And it's really about finding the right partnerships and finding the right team, finding that medical director, finding the staff, and we help with that. Like we line people up with the right medical people to serve the right roles. But as an owner, it's not required, because that's one piece of the business, right? The other part of the business is marketing, it's management, and it's the passion and the interest as well. And I think that's actually the biggest key that an owner can bring, is the interest and the passion, and that's what will drive this business.
Having a medical director was one of the largest areas of concern for a lot of our franchisees. And Tara had alluded to it a little bit, right? We have medical directors who are licensed and set up all across the US, even with redundancies. So if a medical director were to, win the lottery or decide to move on and do something different, we can have another medical director spun up in that same state within just a few minutes. And so that's been one of the most critical pieces, because we are a healthcare facility, right? We have to follow the rules and regulations of each state. And that was one of the biggest struggles for us at the very beginning. And we spent a lot of time, when COVID first came, we were doing really well. The brand was doing great. COVID came, and Simon Sinek said it best, right? There's really two types of owners. The one owner will say, oh my gosh, there's a pandemic. What do I do? I'm just going to close up, put my head down. Everyone will understand I wasn't successful, or I decided to close. And then the other owner says, okay, you know what? There's a pandemic here. What can we do to make our brand even more successful? How can we thrive? And for us, we did a couple of things, one of which was taking a step back and saying, okay, if we're going to grow this brand, we need to make sure, we have medical director coverage in every single state. We have to understand this. We created a membership program. So all of our stores have a membership component, which has been great for the business aspect of it. And then it's just the education piece, right? Creating our POS system and things that are proprietary to us. And then, of course, most importantly, this functional component that we do, right? Where clients can come in and we can send their blood and create that custom ID. All of these things really came out of the pandemic, where we said, we're not going to be a victim of this pandemic, whatever this is. We have to get better. But to your question, that medical director was a huge component, and it's something that we're really proud that we've got that component figured out.
That's
We
amazing.
also have a very robust training program and community. So honestly, the clinic directors is what we call them at the clinics as well. They're very engaged. So we have monthly calls with them, training with them, and they're all sort of connected. So even the staff get really excited. So you have the owners who are sometimes not medical, but we engage not just with the owners, we engage with the staff as well, so that they have the tools and they feel empowered, and that they're getting that education directly from us.
It's a lot. I think, we get questions sometimes, why would I need a franchise for that? Why can't I just do that on my own? And all the things you guys are saying is, it's a lot of work that goes into putting these systems in place. And, kudos to you for taking the opportunity during the pandemic to just buckle down and make things better. So remind us, how many locations do you have open now? And then how many are waiting to open? I know there's quite a few, right?
We opened store number 31 in a week. So 31 locations open, and we've got around 70, 75 that are in the pipeline. So at this point, we're opening between 2 and 6 locations each month for the next foreseeable future, which we're pretty proud of.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot. That's a lot to be proud of, for sure. So if someone came to you with an interest in being an entrepreneur, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I hear that question a lot, and I think my response is always probably the same, and it's don't have analysis paralysis, right? Don't overanalyze everything, because if you take so much time to analyze every single piece, your opportunities are going to pass, right? Especially in the franchising world, and as brands are opening as quickly as they are, right? You could lose your territory, you can lose your opportunity. So don't overanalyze it, right? Ask the correct questions, put your due diligence in there, and spend some time. But don't overanalyze. You're buying into a franchise because the system is already correct, right? It's already figured out. To your last point, our book of what not to do is really, really big. Our book of what to do is really small, right? We know a lot of things that don't work, and that's the point of buying into a franchise, right? You're not recreating this wheel by doing it on your own. We've already spent that time and that energy. So don't overanalyze. Just go for it. Trust the system.
Excellent advice.
Excellent advice. Dr. Tara, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, kind of in that same line, it's like mindset. Mindset matters, and you will create your future, and it all has to do with your mindset. And if you can do it, you can do it. And also, small actionable steps lead to a great outcome, and just stick with it. Keep going, have a positive mindset, know that you can do it, and you'll do it.
Wow.
Excellent advice.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. We greatly appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules. If someone wanted to learn more about IV Nutrition or reach you, how would they go about doing that?
Yeah, ivnutritionfranchise.com. We'll have a lot of information on it. And then, of course, my cell phone. I give my cell phone out to everyone. Our franchisees reach out on a regular basis, but it's 479-799-8518. So either the website or my cell phone, I'm happy to connect.
And your email, too. You could probably give your email.
Jason@ivnutrition.com.
Very easy email. Well, again, thank you for joining us. We greatly appreciate it. For our listeners today, you can find Roxanne Rapske, Rapske, and myself, Sarah Waskow, SARAWASKOW, on LinkedIn. We're very active there, so please reach out and connect. We invite you to listen to our other podcast, Unpredicted Entrepreneur, wherever you listen to your podcast, and also invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, FranNet of Dallas, Fort Worth, and Oklahoma. So thanks for joining us, and we look forward to next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.